Good morning.
Morning. Today is Saturday, January 11th, and we'll be reading Genesis 31 through 33.
Genesis 31 through 33. And what are we going to cover? We have Jacob has a dream. That's what we're going to read in there. Yes. All right. You ready? Thumbs up, fist bump. Oh, so we need to update people. You got to see baby Hiram?
Baby Hiram.
And he left, they came late last night,
They picked up
the children. There was a storm, so it
snowed.
it snowed this morning.
It snowed this morning. Now, if you look outside right now, there's no snow.
Kind of.
Still on some rooftops, but that's about it.
Yeah, the sun came out and melted it all.
All right. Jacob escapes from Laban. Now Jacob heard that the sons of Laban were complaining. Everything Jacob owns he has taken from our father. He gained all his wealth from what our father owned. And Jacob saw that Laban no longer viewed him favorably as he once did. Then Yahweh said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your ancestors where you were born, and remember, I will be with you." So Jacob sent a message for Leah and Rachel to meet him in the field where his flocks were grazing. When they arrived, he said to them, "I can see that your father's attitude toward me has changed, but the God of my father has been with me. You both know I have worked for your father as hard as I could, although he has cheated me and reduced my wages over and over. Yet God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, 'The speckled ones will be your wages,' then all the flock bore speckled. If he said, 'The striped ones will be your wages,' then all the flock bore striped. Because of these miracles, God has taken away your father's livestock and given them to me." Jacob continued, "Once during the breeding season, I had a dream. I saw that the male goats who were mating were all speckled, streaked, or spotted. In the dream, the angel of God called me by my name, Jacob. 'I am here,' I answered. Then he said, 'Observe and note that all the male goats that are mating are speckled, streaked, or spotted, for I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and return to the land of your birth.' Then Rachel and Leah answered him, 'Our father doesn't want us to inherit a portion from his estate. Hasn't he treated us as outsiders and not as members of his family? Not only did he sell us like property, but he has also spent our purchase price. Our father's wealth that God has given you was legally ours and our children to begin with. So go ahead and do whatever God has told you.' Jacob immediately put his wives and children on camels and took with him all the livestock and everything he amassed in Paddan Aram. He set out to return to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. One day when Laban had gone to his field to shear his sheep, Rachel stole his father's household idols. Jacob had outwitted Laban the Aramean. Jacob had outwitted Laban the Aramean by secretly departing without telling him. He fled with all he had, and after crossing the Euphrates, he headed for the hill country of Gilead. And it wasn't until 3 days later that Laban discovered Jacob had left. Laban pursues Jacob. Laban, along with some of his relatives, took off in pursuit and chased after Jacob for 7 days. He had almost caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead, when God appeared to Laban the Aramean in a dream and warned him, "Be careful that you neither harm nor threaten Jacob. Now Jacob had set up his camp with his flocks on a hill, and Laban had him in his sights. Laban and his companions set up their camp nearby. Laban approached Jacob and said, "Nephew, what have you done? You've deceived me and carried away my daughters like captives on a battlefield. Why did you trick me and run away in secret without telling me? I would have sent you off joyously, celebrating with singing and dancing in the tambourine and stringed instruments." Singing and dancing to the tambourine and stringed instruments. And why did you not even let me kiss my daughters and grandchildren goodbye? What you have done is foolish. I could harm you, but the God of your father spoke to me in a dream last night, saying, "Be careful that you neither harm nor threaten Jacob." Now I realize you ran away because you desperately longed to return to your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? "I left in a hurry because I was afraid," Jacob answered, "and I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. Whoever has taken your gods will be put to death. So here, in the presence of our relatives, if you can find among our possessions anything that is yours, take it." Now Jacob had no clue that Rachel had stolen the gods. Laban went immediately into Jacob's tent to search. Then he went into the tents of Zilpah and Bilhah, but found nothing. After searching Leah's tent, he went into Rachel's. Now Rachel had taken the family gods and put them in her camel's cushion and sat on them. She said to her father, "Please, my father, don't be angry if I don't rise before you, for I'm having my period." Then he rummaged through her tent. He did not find them. Then Jacob became angry and complained to Laban, "What have I done wrong? What sin have I committed that you would hotly pursue me as if you were chasing a criminal? You have rummaged through all my things and did not find anything of your own property. If you did, set them here in front of your relatives and mine. Let them decide between the two of us." Jacob continued, "For the last 20 years I have served you, and the whole time your sheep and goats did not miscarry, nor did I feast on any of your rams. If one of your flock was mauled by a wild beast, I didn't bring it to you. I absorbed the loss myself. And you always made me pay for any missing animal, whether snatched by day or by night. Many times scorching heat consumed me by day, and hard frost by night. I endured sleepless nights. For these 20 years that I've lived among you, I slaved away 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flocks. And besides all that, you've reduced my wages over and over. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the awesome one of Isaac had not been on my side, you certainly would have sent me away empty-handed. But God, in his mercy, took notice of how much I've suffered and how hard I've worked, and that's why he rebuked you last night in your dream." Laban and Jacob make a covenant. Laban replied to Jacob, "These women are my daughters, these children are my grandchildren, and the flocks are mine. In fact, everything you see belongs to me. But from today I will not be able to do anything more for my daughters and grandchildren. Come now, let's make a covenant between you and me. Let it endure as a witness between us." So Jacob took a stone, set it up as a pillar, and in the presence of his relatives he said to them, "Everyone gather stones and place them here in a pile." And they did so. And afterward they ate together next to the heap of stones. Laban and Jacob named the place in both languages, Aramaic and Hebrew, calling it Witness Heap. And Laban said, "Today this heap of stones will be a witness between you and me of our enduring friendship." He called it Witness Heap and Watchpost, for Laban declared, "May Yahweh keep his eyes on us when we are absent from each other. If you mistreat my daughters or marry other women besides my daughters, remember that even though no one else is with us, God is watching us. Here is the heap of stones, and here is the memorial pillar that stands between us. This heap and this pillar stand as witnesses that I will never pass beyond them to harm you, and that you will never pass beyond them to harm me. Now may the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor judge between us." Jacob made his vow by the awesome one of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called everyone together for a meal, and they remained there all night on the mountain. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his daughters and grandchildren, blessed them, and then he returned home. Chapter 32. A Divine Encounter. As Jacob continued toward Canaan, the angels of God came to meet him. When he saw them, he exclaimed, "This is God's military camp." So he named that place 2 camps of angels. Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau, who was living in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He instructed them, "Give this message for me to my master Esau. I am your servant. I have lived with our uncle Laban all these years and have acquired sheep, cattle, donkeys, and both male and female servants. I send this message to you, my master, in the hope of finding favor in your eyes." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they informed him, "We gave your brother Esau your message, and he himself is coming here to meet you. In fact, he's on his way now with 400 men." Gripped with fear to the point of panic, Jacob split all the people who were with him into 2 camps, and also the flocks, herds, and camels. He said to himself, "If Esau attacks the first camp and destroys them, at least the other camp will escape." Then Jacob prayed, "Yahweh, God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, you said to me, 'Return to your country and to your family, and I will make you prosper.' I am so unworthy of all the loving kindness and faithfulness that you have showered upon me, your servant. When I crossed this river Jordan years ago, all I had to my name was a staff in my hand, and now I have increased to become 2 camps. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I'm afraid he will come and kill all of us, including the women and children. You said to me, 'I will certainly prosper you and make your offspring as innumerable as the sand of the sea.'" So he spent the night there. From what he had with him, Jacob sent a gift to his brother Esau, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 female camels and their calves, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He placed them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself. He told them, "Go on ahead of me and put some space between each herd." He gave these instructions to the one in the lead. "When my brother Esau meets you and asks, 'Who is your master? Where are you going? Who owns these herds you are driving?' then you are to say, 'They belong to your servant Jacob. He sent them as a gift to you, my lord Esau, and he is coming behind us.'" He likewise instructed the leaders of the 2nd and the 3rd herds and all those following them, "You must say the same thing when you meet Esau, and be sure to say, 'Your servant Jacob is coming behind us,' because he reasoned, 'If I can appease Esau with these gifts before I have to meet him face to face, he may accept me.' So he sent the gifts on ahead of him while he spent that night in the camp." A midnight wrestling match. Here we go, Joshua. During the night, Jacob arose, woke up his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and 11 sons, and had them cross the ford of the Jabbok River. He sent them across along with everything he had, and Jacob was left all alone. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a man appeared and wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he was not willing to, and that he was not winning the match, he struck Jacob's hip and knocked it out of joint, leaving it wrenched as he continued to wrestle with him. Eventually the man said to him, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." But Jacob refused. "No, not until you bless me." "What is your name?" asked the man. "Jacob," he replied. "Not any more." The man said to him, "Your new name is Israel, for you have struggled both with God and with people and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." "Why ask my name?" the man replied, when he spoke a blessing over Jacob. Then he spoke a blessing over Jacob. So Jacob named the place Peniel, saying, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared." The sun rose upon him, so he crossed the Jabbok River from Peniel, limped because of his hip. To this day, the Israelites do not eat the high muscle attached to the hip socket, because the man struck Jacob's hip socket at the thigh muscle. Chapter 33. Brothers reconcile. When Jacob looked up, he saw Esau approaching with 400 men. So he quickly divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. He lined up the maidservants and their children in front, then Leah and her children, then Rachel and Joseph, last of all. Then Jacob went ahead of them to face Esau. As he approached his brother, he bowed down to the ground 7 times before reaching him. But Esau ran to Jacob and hugged him. He threw his arms around Jacob's neck. He kissed him, and they wept in each other's arms. When Esau looked up and saw the women and the children, he said to Jacob, "Who are all these coming behind you?" Jacob replied, "These are the children, your niece and nephews, whom God has so graciously given your servant." Then the maidservants came forward with their children and bowed low before Esau. Leah likewise came forward with her children and bowed down. Finally, Rachel and Joseph came forward, and they bowed down to the ground before Esau. Esau asked Jacob, "Why did you send all these animals to me?" "I was hoping to find favor with you, my lord," Jacob replied. "But my brother," Esau laughed, "I have plenty. Keep what you have for yourself." Jacob replied, "No, please. If I have found favor in your eyes, please take the gifts. For truly, seeing your face, after all these years, is like looking upon the face of God. Since you have received me so warmly, please accept the blessing I have brought to you. For God has poured his grace over me, and I have everything I want." So with these words, Jacob urged him, and Esau accepted the gifts. Then Esau said, "Let's start out on our journey, and I'll walk alongside you." But Jacob replied, "My lord, you can see how tired the children are, and all our flocks and herds are nursing their young. If we drive them too hard, for even a day, they will die. Please, my lord, go ahead of your servant. Let me move along slowly with my flocks and herds to give them a chance to graze. I must think of my children too, so go ahead of me, my lord, until I catch up with you in Seir." Esau said, "Well, at least let me leave you with some of my men." "You're so kind," Jacob replied, "but there's no need to do so." So that very day, Esau and his men left to return to Seir. But Jacob went the opposite direction to Succoth instead, and built himself a house there. He also built shelters for his livestock, and that is why Jacob named the place Succoth. Jacob builds an altar at Shechem. Jacob's journey from Paddan Aram finally brought him safe and sound to the Canaanite city of Shechem, where he camped just outside the city. He purchased the field where he pitched his tent from the clan of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of silver. There he set up an altar and named it to the true God, the God of Israel. And that is
Genesis Chapter 31, 32, and 33. Bye. Have a great